Life won't ask if you're ready, it will attack. And when it does, your mind is the only weapon you've got. Suddenly, brutally, without warning. And in that moment, all the books you've read, all the theories you've collected, all the soft wishes you've whispered under your breath, none of them will matter. Only one thing will: your mental toughness. Not the kind you pretend to have when things are easy, not the mask you wear when people are watching, but the kind forged in silence, built in darkness, sharpened by fire. So let me say this to you plainly. Mental toughness is not optional. It is the foundation of all greatness, the steel spine behind every dream that ever came true. And if you do not build it, the world will break you. Now, I want you to listen closely, because I'm not here to entertain you. I'm here to wake you, to rattle you, to remind you of the power buried beneath your fear. You are not here to be soft. You are not here to beg life for permission. You are here to dominate your own mind, to take command of your thoughts like a general on the battlefield, to fortify your spirit like a fortress that cannot be breached. That starts by understanding this truth. Your mind is your master or your slave, and every day it's choosing sides. What you think about when no one's looking, what you believe when the pressure is high, what you say to yourself when you fail, those are the blueprints of your future. Because mental toughness isn't built in comfort. It's built the moment you want to quit, but don't. It's built when the voice of weakness inside you screams louder than ever, and you still move forward anyway. You think champions are fearless? Number. They just stopped letting fear vote. They still hear the doubt. They still feel the pain. But they do not bow to it, and neither will you, if you decide right now to become something more than you were yesterday. This won't be easy. You will be tested. You will be doubted. But I promise you this: if you build relentless mental toughness, life will kneel before you, not because it's fair, not because it's kind, but because it has no choice. You become immovable, unshakable, a force that doesn't react to life, but redefines it. And that, my friend, is when everything changes. Do not confuse mental toughness with noise. It is not volume, it is not aggression. It is the silent decision to persist, when every part of you is screaming to stop. You won't find it in applause. You won't find it in validation. You'll find it in that lonely moment when quitting would be easy. But you choose to keep going because your purpose is louder than your pain. You want to know why most people never make it? Because they're emotionally fragile. They haven't trained their mind to carry the weight of discipline, of failure, of uncertainty. They crack under pressure because they've never chosen to carry pressure when they didn't have to. But you, if you're still listening, you're different. You're willing to build it, to become it, to earn it. Mental toughness is earned, not inherited. You earn it when you say no to comfort. You earn it when you train your mind like a warrior sharpens a blade, over and over, without excuse, without distraction. You earn it when you stop blaming your circumstances, stop waiting for the perfect time, and start living like you are already who you're destined to become. Mental toughness is saying, I don't need things to get easier. I need to get stronger. And then proving it. It's waking up and doing the thing, even when the fire is gone, even when the motivation is dead, even when the dream feels far away. Because mental toughness isn't about how you feel. It's about who you decide to be, no matter how you feel. You don't get there by hoping. You don't get there by talking. You get there by pushing when others quit, by standing tall when others fold, by refusing to be owned by the weakness you were taught to accept. And once you've tasted that level of control, once you've seen what you're capable of under pressure, you'll never go back. You won't even recognize the version of you that needed permission to believe in their own power. Let me tell you the truth that most won't dare to whisper. Comfort is the silent killer of greatness. It lulls you. It soothes you. It wraps you in soft excuses and gentle lies, and then it robs you of your edge. Every time you choose the easy path, you lose a little fire, a little bite, a little of that sharpness that separates warriors from wanderers. But when you deliberately choose discomfort, When you step into the cold, the unknown, the difficult, you forge something eternal. You build grit that doesn't dissolve under pressure. You become the kind of person who doesn't need perfect conditions to perform because you've trained in the storm. And oh, how life respects that. Because life doesn't reward the clever. It doesn't reward the lucky. It rewards the relentless. The ones who keep moving when the road turns dark. The ones who turn rejection into fuel. The ones who see pain not as punishment, but as preparation. Ask yourself, how much pain are you willing to endure for your vision? How long are you willing to be misunderstood, unseen, underappreciated, so that one day the world cannot ignore you? Because here's the hard truth. You can either suffer the pain of growth or suffer the pain of staying exactly where you are. But either way, there will be pain. Only one version gives you power. Mental toughness is knowing that, living that, choosing that. It's seeing failure not as a full stop, but as a comma, an inhale before the next line of your legacy. It's standing at the edge of exhaustion and saying, not yet, I've still got more. You think the champions you admire were born lucky? Number they were broken 100 times, then rebuilt themselves stronger every single time. They were doubted, they were betrayed, they were dismissed, but they refused to collapse inward. They chose to turn every setback into scar tissue, armor for the soul, and you can too. You must. Because you are not here to blend in. You are not here to be soft and forgettable. You are here to build a mind so strong that nothing external can disturb your internal peace. That, my friend, is the goal. That is the prize. And if you want it, if you're ready to stop waiting for your circumstances to change and instead decide to become the kind of person who changes circumstances, then let's go deeper. Let's build the kind of mindset that doesn't flinch when chaos knocks, the kind that doesn't break. It bends and rebounds like tempered steel. The kind that walks into the fire, not because it loves pain, but because it trusts what's on the other side of it. This is the life you were made for. And now is the time to claim it. Most people are walking contradictions. They say they want strength, but avoid the struggle. They say they want confidence, but run from challenge. They want power, but refuse to pay the price. Let me be clear. You cannot become mentally strong on a diet of comfort and applause. You need resistance. You need friction. You need adversity to sharpen your spirit like a blade against stone. Think about the strongest structures ever built. They weren't formed in peace. They were tested by wind, rain, fire, and time. So too with your mind. If you're always waiting for life to get easier, you will remain soft, fragile, and forgettable. But if you start welcoming difficulty, if you meet the test with grit instead of complaint, something inside you will shift. You'll begin to see obstacles not as blocks, but as invitations, not as curses, but as crucibles. And every time you pass through one, you're not just surviving, you're transforming. Mental toughness is not loud. It doesn't scream for attention. It's quiet, silent, but unstoppable. It shows up in how you breathe when everything's on fire, in how you speak to yourself when no one's around, in what you do when the spotlight is gone and the world is silent. It is discipline in the dark, courage in the mundane, victory in the small, invisible choices. The greatest warriors don't just train their bodies, they train their beliefs. They anchor their identity not in outcomes, but in principles, not in praise, but in purpose. That's what I want for you. Because once you've tasted what it means to be mentally indestructible, you'll never settle for mediocrity again. You'll walk through storms that used to break you. You'll smile at challenges that once terrified you, and you'll move through the world with a quiet power that turns heads, not because you demanded respect, but because you embodied it. Understand this. You don't get stronger by yelling louder. You get stronger by mastering the whispers of your own mind, by choosing the hard thing when no one's clapping, by keeping your promises to yourself when it's inconvenient, uncomfortable, and unseen. Every time you do, you make a deposit into your character. You fortify the walls of your inner kingdom. You become someone the world cannot move. And the moment that happens, everything else starts to move in your direction. Do you know what happens when you finally stop reacting to life and start commanding it? You shift from prey to predator, from drifting to driving, from existing to evolving. This is what relentless mental toughness really grants you. Not just grit, not just endurance, but clarity. The kind of clarity that cuts through distractions like a blade through fog. You stop chasing every opportunity. You stop explaining yourself to people who will never understand your fire. You stop apologizing for wanting more, doing more, being more. Because now you know this is your path and no one else needs to walk it or approve it. The mentally weak look for signs. They wait for motivation. They cling to certainty. But the mentally strong, they decide. They make the commitment and then become the person who honors it through storms, setbacks, and silence. If you're still waiting for the right time, you've already lost. Because the right time doesn't exist. The world doesn't pause to accommodate your doubts. You either rise now or you sink. Your mind is your command center. If you feed it excuses, it will deliver mediocrity. If you feed it focus, it will forge miracles. Mental toughness means you stop asking, "Do I feel like it?" and start living by a higher law. What kind of person am I becoming through this choice? It's easy to act like a leader when everyone's watching, but real power is earned in solitude, when the room is quiet and temptation whispers, and you still choose to rise, to push, to believe. You may not see the results today, you may not be praised tomorrow, but the compound effect of your inner discipline is building something unshakable. A reputation with yourself, a trust in your own voice, an identity built on action, not affirmation. And from that place, anything is possible. Because once your mind is forged in fire, no storm can steal your purpose. No setback can define your worth. No failure can make you question who you are. You become, at last, a force of nature. Let me ask you something, and I want you to answer with brutal honesty. When pressure comes, do you crumble or do you conquer? Do you retreat into comfort or do you rise with clarity? Because mental toughness is revealed not when things are easy, but when life punches you square in the jaw and you choose to stand your ground. Every difficulty is an audition for your higher self. Every trial is asking, "Are you ready yet?" Not ready to get more, but ready to be more. And the only way to be more is to build more. Not buildings, not wealth, but resilience, conviction, fire that no wind can extinguish. Most men fear the battle because they haven't trained the mind to see pain as the gateway to power. They've been raised on the milk of safety and praise, never tasting the steel of solitude or the fuel of failure. But you, if you're listening to me now, have a chance to wake up, to become the one who no longer negotiates with weakness, who no longer asks permission to be great. You don't have to be the loudest in the room, but you must be the most certain, certain in your mission, certain in your mindset, certain that nothing outside of you controls the fire within. Because mental toughness isn't just about enduring hardship, it's about transforming it. You take pain and you repurpose it into focus. You take rejection and you mold it into resilience. You take every moment life tried to break you and you turn it into brick. You build your mind like a fortress, stone by stone, choice by choice, until you become a man or woman who does not flinch, who does not fold, who no longer fears life because they've mastered themselves. And in mastering yourself, you earn the right to lead others, not through force, but through example, through presence, through the quiet, unshakable energy of someone who has been through the fire and kept walking. That, my friend, is what the world respects, not the one who boasts, but the one who embodies strength. The world may never hand you the title you crave. It may never applaud your efforts. It may never say, "You've done enough." But none of that matters, because greatness doesn't beg for recognition. It simply becomes undeniable. The mentally tough stop living for validation and start living for vision. They don't care if others believe in them because they've learned to believe in themselves, relentlessly, obsessively, unshakably. You must become that rare individual who doesn't need an audience to stay consistent, who doesn't need perfect conditions to act, who doesn't care about the odds because you've already decided the outcome in your mind. And that decision, that's the most powerful force in your reality. You've got to train your mind to see discipline as freedom, to see discomfort as a sign you're growing, to see doubt not as an enemy, but as a test you're meant to pass. If you're waiting to feel brave before you take action, you'll wait your whole life. Bravery doesn't come first. Action does. Mental toughness is born in those small, invisible moments when no one is watching, but you are. When no one will know if you gave up, but you will. And what you know about yourself when your head hits the pillow at night, that's the real scoreboard. Every decision, every sacrifice, every moment you choose progress over comfort. That's another vote for the person you're becoming. Do it enough times, and that identity becomes permanent. Do it enough times, and failure becomes irrelevant, because you'll rise again, every single time, with more wisdom, more fire, more clarity. You will become unstoppable, not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. You've heard the word unstoppable tossed around like it's a personality trait. But I'll tell you the truth, being unstoppable is not about being fearless. It's about being relentless despite fear. It's about staring down the chaos of life and whispering, "I'm still coming." That's what separates those who talk about success from those who embody it. It's not talent. It's not luck. It's a decision, repeated 1,000 times in silence when no one else would have blamed you for quitting. And that decision, to keep going, to keep pushing, to keep rising, builds a mind so strong it bends reality to its will. You begin to move through life differently, not with arrogance but with certainty, not with noise but with presence. You no longer need external proof because you've cultivated an inner truth. I am not the product of my circumstances. I am the architect of my outcome. And this changes everything. You stop being reactive. You start being strategic. You stop seeking motivation. You start living with mission. Mental toughness is not a mask you wear. It's not a performance. It's the result of brutal honesty with yourself and the courage to rise again and again when that honesty demands more. It's the voice inside that says, "This is hard, and I do it anyway. This hurts, and I grow from it. I am tired, but I finish strong." And each time you make that choice, your identity shifts. You stop seeing yourself as the struggler, the victim, the almost success, and you begin to know without doubt that you are a force, not because you never fall, but because you always rise. And in that rise, you inspire others without even trying, because true strength speaks for itself, without shouting, without pleading, without needing to be seen. It radiates, and soon the world can't help but feel it. Do you want to know what the most powerful person in any room possesses? It's not beauty. It's not brilliance. It's not the biggest paycheck or the loudest voice. It's the man or woman who has mastered their own mind. Because the one who can command their thoughts, direct their focus, and regulate their emotions, that person owns the room, even in silence. Mental toughness is the invisible crown. It's worn by those who refuse to let fear dictate their future, those who've trained themselves to act despite anxiety, to move despite uncertainty, to show up day after day no matter what storm rages around them. And let me tell you, life will test you. There will be moments where it all feels too heavy, where betrayal stings, where failure screams, where the mountain you're climbing seems to grow with every step. That's not the universe trying to break you. That's the forge, the furnace in which greatness is tempered. You either melt or you mold yourself into something unshakable. You don't get mental toughness from reading about it. You earn it through experience. Through the nights you cry and still show up in the morning. Through the rejections you take personally but don't let stop you. Through the self-doubt you carry like a boulder on your back but still move forward anyway. It's not about being immune to hardship. It's about becoming so aligned with your mission that no hardship can shake your purpose. The mentally tough don't avoid pain. They leverage it. They channel it. They use it as a sharpening stone. And over time, something magical happens. The world starts to bend, not because it's easier, but because you've become stronger. There's a moment in every warrior's life where they stop waiting for rescue, where they stop hoping for circumstances to change, and instead, they become the change. That moment is sacred. That moment is yours. Mental toughness begins there. The second you say, "No more excuses. This is on me." Because the world doesn't need more people hoping. It needs more people deciding. People who wake up and move with intention. People who don't fold when it gets uncomfortable. People who lead themselves regardless of who's watching. You must be ruthless with your distractions, vigilant with your energy, obsessed with your growth. And here's the truth no one wants to say out loud. You don't rise to your dreams. You fall to your training. So train yourself to win. Train your focus to stay locked when others drift. Train your mind to speak power when it wants to panic. Train your heart to stay soft, but never weak. Train your discipline like a blade, so sharp it cuts through any excuse. That is how you build relentless mental toughness. Not overnight, not without setbacks, but through daily, deliberate decisions to act like the person you claim you want to become. You don't fake it, you forge it. And when it's real, when it's burned into your character, you become someone no circumstance can break. So don't wait for the right time. Don't wait to feel confident. Don't wait for someone to hand you permission, because the life you crave is already waiting for you. But it only opens its doors for those who are mentally ready to walk through fire and keep walking. Stand up. Lock in. Go build the mind that builds the life. Your future is listening. The world makes way for those who dare to rise. Click the Rise button now to subscribe and claim the destiny waiting for you. Your time is now.